Ball are back at the house. We were out on the water just maybe a couple hours ago, maybe. And I brought back all the baits. I need to get them out so they'll dry off. Some of these are probably still wet, right? Rode hard and put up wet, more or less. So, as what's becoming a ritual now, I tend to do it this way. And normally I would just pull it all out, spread it out, let it dry out, put it up. I figured once I did it one time on the boat, and you guys all seem to like that video, I figured I'll bring it home and do it on the phone, do like a live, or just record it through my phone. It's easier to do than messing with all the GoPro stuff. So here's everything I used today, and we caught them. Brew Tank will be probably chiming in because I messaged him that sending pics of the fish, the biggest ones I caught for the day. That were my 5 biggest, and we weighed most of them, but anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not a tournament fisherman, so we don't care about poundage. So let me get them all out. Now, I need to come up with a little better way than this. I keep forgetting to bring a Ziploc bag, so I always pull one that I put my Z-Man stuff in, all my bags together, to separate those out. And so that's what I did. And we used a lot of baits, but still. Oh, yeah. So a little update also on the channel. And as you join in, hit the like button, please, and subscribe if you haven't. But I have not yet unveiled my new tackle box, but I did weigh it. So I've got it more or less loaded. It's going to come and go a few different baits, but it weighs about 34 pounds loaded up. What's up, Mike? Oh, it's rainy there. No, it was a nice day. It got kind of overcast, and anyway, so we're going to talk about all this stuff. So I'll try to, you can see how many baits. So literally, I took a tackle box, and the other tackle box was just mainly Z-Man stuff. My Igloo deal weighs about 8 or 10 pounds. It may be 6 or 8 pounds. So those 2 tackle boxes, but this is all everything I threw. Everything didn't work, though, but a lot did. So we're going to go through it. I know, it's a jumbled up mess when I do it like this, but so I'm going to try to show you. I started the day. Let's talk about how I started the day. So I started the day, got there early, right as the sun was coming up. I would have liked to have been there a little bit earlier, but I thought I'd throw a little bit of topwater. And this is a color I don't hardly ever throw, and today I found out why. No, for sure, but it didn't get any hits, and I jumped away real quick from that. But anyway, I threw that, and this is a bait that definitely does get hit from time to time, but today I didn't probably give it enough time, but no. So I was trying topwater, right? Topwater, and then like glide baits are on top. So I tried that, but real quickly I switched to what they were hitting, and we'll talk about, I know this is kind of a slow process because I end up usually talking about what went down with the bait and how I was using it, was anything out of whack or whatever. So I've talked about this bait before. The full-size Whopper Plopper, or the 130. They do make one bigger. I've since gotten rid of that one. It does catch fish. There's videos out on it, but man, that one's too big. This one is a monster anyway, in my opinion. And that is the Tackle Warehouse exclusive. I don't know if you can still get this color, but the bluegill color from Tackle Warehouse. And I think that came like that. I don't think I added, or there was an accident. I think that comes with that little bit of chartreuse right there. But anyway, we got on a little bite with this first thing, and I was throwing it on the Tequila back rack. Now, what I thought was an excellent rod for this, since it's got big hooks, I did miss 2 fish. Caught 6 or 8 maybe, somewhere in that area, but 2 of them, and it was because I was like, instead of, I like to set the hook either straight up. I actually like to angle it towards me when I'm holding the rod with my left hand, and when I do that away from my, kind of, I feel like if I pull in towards my body and towards me, and when you're doing like out of the way, even though I felt like I got a good hard yank, I did miss both those fish that I set the hook like that on. So the Tequila back rack, I think, is still an excellent rod for this, but the Poison Adrena, I did pretty good the year before last. When I first got the Poison Adrena, I threw this on it, and Super Destroyer kind of works, but it's kind of not really for this. But the Poison Adrena was doing pretty good. So I've got several rods that I could throw this on, in other words. But this one did pretty good, and then that kind of faded because I got there right around 6 and fished till, I don't know, a little afternoon, probably closer to 1. So let's talk about the frogs since they're topwater. So believe it or not, and Brew Tank, when he is hearing this, he'll probably be like, well, dude, I saw a pic with the frog. These literally just sucked in the morning. I tried, this one's probably still got, why does he feel heavy? Anyway, these were not good. I threw this frog, and you won't see any of the footage, man. I threw these guys up against wood so good to where when I was walking them, and then I would walk it to where the head would doink, hit like a skunk, and then walk it away, and nothing. At the end of the day, some of the last fish I caught were on this guy. Now, I threw them all, and I don't think it really had anything to do with the frog. But towards the end of the day, and as I was getting ready to go, I got in a little spot where I could not throw my chatterbait. So, since this one was still hooked on, and had talked about it, the Super Destroyer. Some of you guys asked me, is the Super Destroyer, a good frog rod or work for the frog? And it's not one I would go buy just to throw frogs, but yes, I was throwing the frog on the Super Destroyer all day without any bites, and I was even commenting about it. I don't know how much that footage will make it to the video when it comes out. But I was commenting about, man, that Super Destroyer, I haven't even caught anything on it. So I'm like, you know what? There was a spot where I was trying to work a half-ounce chatterbait through, and it just wasn't working. I'm like, well, let me just try the frog there. So I wanted to show. Now, the Whopper Plopper, you guys know the glide bait. I tried that slow, and I tried chopping it, nothing. This guy was just a Whopper Plopper. Honestly, the best way I've ever found to use them is just reel it and slow down and speed up until you find that it's making its loudest plopping sound, and it just gets them. And that's the way I did that. Like, very rarely will it need a stop and go retrieve or whatever. Maybe every once in a while, but the majority is you'll just find that speed where it's making its loudest, like plop, 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 like the Whopper Plopper, and that's where they normally hit, and that's what was working this morning. This thing, I was doing the traditional, like blurping it, like a little pop, or I was trying to walk it. And I was walking it slow, and I was speeding up the walk. Well, I decided to change it up when I did throw it back out. It was just grass just barely submerged enough that you couldn't really see it, but it was there, and the water wasn't real clear in that spot. So the retrieve that worked, and what made me find it was I was throwing it out there, and I was doing it my little slow motion frog thing, and then I started reeling it in, and one hit it. I'm like, oh, that son of a, and I stopped it, and then he came back and got it, and I'm like, oh. So then I proceeded to miss a couple and caught 2 or 3. They weren't hitting hard, like it wasn't a perfect frog hit, but I managed to catch frogfish and missed a couple. And Super Destroyer works. I don't know if it's the best thing, but I felt the ones that were just grabbing it, because sometimes you'd go bloop, and I'd let it set, and the frog would just pop back up like a second later. They weren't really trying to eat it. I think they were halfway trying to kill it. Was to just throw it out, and then almost like you would, do the shaking a jig or something. You would just kind of twitch it as you pulled it towards you, kind of, about a foot or within a foot to 2 foot, and then kill it. And then, like the Alabama shake, just shake it a little bit as you're reeling, slow, just about maybe another foot, 2 foot, kill it. And then every 2 or 3 times you killed it, wham, one would whack it. And I managed to catch quite a few that way. Like, I felt it was a decent hit going on, that if I would have probably kept going, but I was running out of footage on my SD card, and I was just getting, I'll be honest, I was getting kind of worn out because we caught a bunch of fish. So just in a little brief 20-minute window there, at the most a half hour, I probably caught 3 to 5. I don't remember how many I caught. At least 3. I may have caught 5, but I had like 5 or 6, and a couple of them got off, kind of deal, at least. But it was working. I probably could have went around everywhere it was nasty like that and continued to catch some on that. I kind of wanted to, but then I was just done. So let's let's try to, let me get a little, oh, let's talk about this right now because I talked highly, highly about these. So what do you guys think? You guys think these kicked in and really worked? The pink, right? No. These, I think I caught one fish fairly early on that, and I could not muster up any. I've thrown that on a shaky head. The pink, where we were at, roughly water visibility, in spots almost 5 foot, in other spots not quite 3 foot. It wasn't real the least visible place we fished so far this season, and I would have thought this bright color, right? Why didn't that work? They just they don't like pink there. It definitely did not kick in at all, as what I would call they were hitting on it because. And really, I'll throw this one in too while I'm at it. This guy right here. So I thought, well, let me go, and I'll talk about that because we did finally get on a little bit of a pattern with white baits, but not this dude. So when it comes to bottom bouncing stuff, they're finicky. Like, I'll just talk about it now. They didn't hit those colors near as well as they did this color, baby brush hog. Now, maybe it was the fact that it was just a baby brush hog and they didn't want it to worm, but they just weren't on that intense of a color. And also while I'm sitting here staring at it, and I'm going to take all these and break them down. Just because. So this, and I had it rigged up a couple different ways. I had it rigged up, started out a little heavier, and then lighter was better just because it was so gunky. I needed to be as lightweight as possible to tickle the tops of the grass, right? But that color was kind of so-so, but I'll be honest, my backup baits weren't working as good as my main baits. So almost every time I threw a backup bait, because I got hit kind of funny, they hit the backup bait kind of funny. And so, yeah. Now, I briefly tried, I just took him out just to briefly, like this guy, I can't say he was going to be on or not. I just, as the whopper plopper bite was slowly dying off, I just brought him out to try, just made a couple casts. So really, I just included him because I did cast him a couple times. But usually this color on the, when you get to a little bit clearer water, that's what Charles tears me up on in this 90. This is the 110. So the 130 and the 110 is what mainly the ones I like to throw. So another bait that does not work, that is an awesome bait. But like I said, I like when I feel, I mean, I'll try it, and I just tried it today because I'm getting ready to get to the baits that were working. So I tried, oh my goodness, get out of there. Let go of that dude. That is not a fish. That is a chatterbait. Man, these megabass hooks. They stick. So just tried this briefly. Never even got a nibble or nothing on it. Just not really clear enough water. I don't think. I was trying to throw it where I just took. What? This is the finish. Okay. So anyway, a no-go. I was doing a live stream, but yeah. Okay.
Does it look like, do I look big?
No, you do not look big. Vanessa's going to a pool party, but she's not going swimming. It's ridiculous. It's like going to a Fireball party and not drinking Fireball. What's wrong with you?
Like I look nice? Like I look
Yes.
like I'm a nice girl?
You look very beautiful. Yes, you look like a nice girl. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to seem like I'm a nice girl.
Yeah, you're going to fool everybody.
Boy!
That's a joke. She's a very nice girl. All right, can I go? Can I do a live stream now?
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye. Love you. Okay. Look back. What was I talking about? Anyway, let's go to the jerk bait. Just because I was trying it. So I tried this guy briefly. Nothing. Nothing on this dude. All right, hang on. Let me read this. Brew tank. No, I don't think it was over a 20-pound bag. It was a good bag, but I don't think it was over 20. But yeah, the Whopper Plopper, I'm telling you guys, man, there's, especially if you doubt the Whopper Plopper, just get a 90. Buy the smaller one. It's even smaller than this guy. Buy a Whopper Plopper 90. Charles tears me up. There's some mornings like he'll catch 10 fish before I've gotten one just on that little whopper plopper. Now they're not giant, but the giant ones will hit even the little whopper plopper. But you know what? Yeah, that's a whopper plopper. It says right on it. Got Larry Dahlberg even signed it. But, and probably that color, that perchy color, if you doubt a whopper plopper, just buy the 90, don't get the bigger one. But I'm telling you, you want to go for it, and you just like get the 130s, throw them on a medium heavy to a heavy, because that's a huge hook. So anyway, back to so the jerkbait, which I was thinking maybe that color, if anything, I could possibly just, get on some dinks or even crappie at the least. Because, and we'll talk about chatterbaits last. We're going to talk about chatterbaits last. All the chatterbaits. I know I threw a lot of chatterbaits. I was trying to track down colors. Those are all chatterbaits. I didn't even make it to spinnerbaits or, so let's talk about rattle traps or other stuff. It was just so grassy. Like I was basically looking for something to go across the grass or rip through the grass. Is where we were. So once again, this bait always produces. It didn't catch the biggest, but I threw it after I threw this guy. So here's the process I went through on rattle traps. So I started with the LV500. Way too heavy for small as it is. And you'll see the thing when I talk about the chatterbaits. The 5/8 ounce chatterbaits, too heavy to get through where the fish were biting in the grass. It's like the speed you needed to go. Now this one may have worked once I did that fast paced thing, but I found so far that I like the LV500s when you're doing that cold water, yo-yoing them or popping them off the bottom kind of thing. Oh, I like these other ones better. Luckily, because these are like $16 a piece. But I do still keep them. But that dude didn't even get a hit. I didn't throw him real long because I couldn't hardly keep him out of the grass. It was just harder to keep out of the shallow grass. So I jumped to, was it this guy? I think I grabbed this one first and didn't even get a hit. And then I grabbed this guy. I'm like, well, I think the white, what do you call it? I forget what they call it. They got a stupid name on this. It's kind of that bone color. I call it the zombie. Just because it's like crackly. That's just what I've always called it. But you can tell this one is beat up. And it is a true hard knocker. Got all the rattles in it. This dude, once I started realized that I needed to go faster because I was throwing a 3/4. I didn't need to downsize because I tried that with this one. I'm like, well, let's try a 1/2 ounce. It wasn't that. It was that I just needed to go faster through the shallow grass and rip this dude through. And these, even though they're roughly the same weight as LV500, this just is harder to keep up than this is kind of thing. So this dude instantly just kicked on, and we were on a rattle trap bite. So then I pulled this one out just to double check myself. I'm like, well, is this color still good? And yes, either one of these, the Booyah Hard Knocker, 3/4 ounces, I was catching fish, but I still felt this one was probably not the color of choice, right? Because I'd already kind of found out by this colors here that white was kind of hitting on chatterbaits. So anyway, that dude, I don't even know how many I caught, but like I'd try to cast it as far as I could, paralleling the bank we were off the dam, and then just, kind of as shallow as I could, and still, fast. I felt like the 8 5-to-1s they went fast enough, reeling them fast. The 7 5-to-1s, when I tried on other rods, I had to try too hard thing. So I felt I was at a disadvantage with the 7 5-to-1 as fast as I was trying to go with these and popping them and whatever. And it was a bite going for a while on either one of these. And I should have. I didn't even think about it, grabbing this one to double checking. But man, there was a bite going. But you had to go pretty fast. So I'll talk real quick about rods. If you guys follow the channel, you'll know which ones I'm talking about. So the Poison Adrena I started with, and then I took this and put this on the Poison Adrena and double checked myself, and yes, it was working. Poison Adrena is still my favorite rod for rattle traps, especially these 3/4 ounce. But half also, this is probably the limit of the weight you want to throw in the poison adrena kind of thing with rattle traps anyway. But then I put this one since it was working so good, and I tried it on my 2 Lew's, the 6'10" medium heavies. And although they work pretty decent, the reels is what was letting me down on mainly the speeds. But when those Lew's kind of start showing their true colors when you're like speed cranking stuff, like the geary noise kind of is more intense, and then the crazy silver one just makes this crazy loud scream when you cast these super far on the casting. It still casts them far, but it screams at you when it does it. But so what I did was I solidified myself, and these baits are awesome, and the poison adrena is definitely the rod to throw those with. Not the Lew's. But the Lew's, like I've mentioned several times, the Signature Series jerkbait I love for the jerkbaits and chatterbaits, and we caught some chatterbaits on it today. But then I wanted to also, we're going to talk about, the main thing we're going to talk about, I'll leave these back here, is the bigger chatterbaits. So let's talk about what didn't, for whatever reason, just didn't seem to work. So I tried like an all white, this little dude, and he was like, these are nimble, Jack Be Quick, these Nobies, like hover and whatever. So I was trying this. I could work this right through the grass, no problem. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't, look how new and shiny it still is. Like this bait, I don't think I ever got hit on with that one. So maybe it was just too white, you know. Just like this is too white because this guy is too legit to quit, and it adds that crappie. It's just got that little bit of change, kind of like the spot remover, right? But no, this dude right here, that's a little Nobi 3/8 ounce with the I started to call that swim on. That's the Komodo Junior from Gambler. It was a no. Did I throw this jig? No, I didn't cast. I threw it, but like once. And I realized like the 3/8 ounce trying to jig something in that gunky junk, it was not worth even trying. So it's hard to knock that bait. So I took my favorite, not my favorite, but the one that this bait since, just like the pink, that one day I was doing so awesome, and the one day this did so great. Since then I can't repeat it. Now I was trying it. I've even worked it all the way to this as a trailer. That's a Chick Magnet Swirl. I thought like kind of natural but kind of bright. I think it was just too dull for the water clarity. So what was funny is even though some of these bright colored baits didn't work, the main thing that seemed to work for the chatterbaits anyway were these two guys right here. So black and blue, and then white, but not really just all white, like that silvery, but mainly I think because we're on each end of the spectrum, right? Now I'm just going to show these briefly. These did not work. We'll talk about the ones that did and what we kind of found out. So these, I had a problem. These are the 5/8, and they just didn't want to go like as fast as I had to reel to keep them out of the gunk. Wasn't really worthwhile, and I didn't get any hits on them, right? Because that 5/8, just with that blade, you kind of have to go at a certain pace. And when I did let them, tried to slow them down, I kept getting like completely hung up, and they just weren't working as well. They got their place and time. This bait, for whatever reason, I could not even get a hit on either, and I think I should have tried a different thing other than the Houdini, but I didn't make it that far. But I don't know. I made 5 or 10 casts easy, maybe more, and never even got a bump when I was fishing in an area where this was getting whacked. So I'm like, yeah, like it's not that far off, but it was far enough off. So the big ticket here was, I think, the fact that big blade was giving the thumping, and then when they made it to the thing, it looked white, right? It looked like a baby crappie, and they smacked it with that almost chartreuse tint. Now, I did, he always comes out and performs a little bit, but Neo, I broke out, I think this is my last Neo. I broke him out, put orange on, and I caught a few fish. Neo caught a few for no longer than I fished him. But I think it was kind of I probably should have broke out the 1/2 ounce Neo, the one that weighs a little more, but not as much as those 5/8 ounce, and tried that. But we caught a couple on Neo. This guy, I thought for sure, I'm like, here's a winning ticket, right? This dude is crazy bright, added orange, nothing. Nothing on him either. The two baits that just chatterbaits that I caught a bunch of fish on, like overall, my fish catches came on this guy here. I mean, I could have been either way, but I felt this one was a little better than this one, so I just went back and stuck with that one. But literally right here between, and I caught a few on those baby brush hogs, just a few, but not many. But my main bites were these two chatterbaits, that there, and then this early in the morning. That was my main, I guess we could call it, we'll just call it 4 baits. So topwater, rattle trap, and then chatterbaits. Probably caught, I don't even know for sure, 25 to 35 bass. All pretty nice. Couple dinks here and there. Missed a couple dinks. Missed a couple decent ones that, like I mentioned with the Whopper Plopper, I did the hook set weird. Neo, one of them was a little decent. I kind of did a, I don't know, weird, caught me off guard hook set kind of thing. But these, I only missed because I was keeping track of this, because I'll talk about that too, and this one. So I was throwing these, the bigger hooked chatterbaits, right, on the why do I always want to say poison Adrena? On the Tequila Baccarat and the Dobbins rod, because remember I said I wanted to throw, check that rod out too. So I don't know if I missed a fish with the Dobbins throwing this. I only missed, I believe it was 2 on this, throwing it on the Dobbins. That's the, the Strike King Thunder Crickets have like a 5/0 hook, and I believe that's what the big blades do at least. And that's what I believe the jackhammers that are 1/2 ounce or bigger are also like that. And the Z-Man Originals too, but we just couldn't get a Z-Man Original to hit to check the hookup ratio. So the Tequila Baccarat, and even though the fact I missed 2, because one was probably could have been me or the rod, and the other one is when I was trying to throw this and that gunky stuff right before I started throwing the frog towards the end of the day. So I'm kind of worn out. I'm not maybe on my game as much, and I missed one more with this before I switched to the frog, just because I was tired of ripping it out of grass. And I probably, half-heartedly hook set because I thought I was just ripping out of grass, and it was a fish. That split second before you realize, is it a fish or is it grass kind of hit. But so this dude, of course, you guys know the deal. Black and blue, gold blade. I keep talking about it, and it always usually works if I just put enough time throwing it. But then this dude, that was probably the most I've thrown this one. I normally throw that bluegill big blade, and then I occasionally throw this, or I'm usually throwing in the white. I've got basically this, but the spot remover, which has a little bit of that color to it. And I just wanted to try this one because I knew the spot remover, where we were, I've caught fish there before, and I don't know, there's something about once you just get that all white. I don't like all white as well as I do that with just a little bit of that hue of a yellowish chartreuse, whether it be in the trailer. Probably could have slapped that trailer on this bait and then maybe been in business. I didn't get that far. I was throwing, a lot of other stuff, right? Now, why, if this was working, why I couldn't at least, like I said, I think I caught one at the beginning early on, and I just couldn't muster. This one didn't have it. This one had it, man. This one was like game on. That big blade, and if you guys don't know the deal with these 1/2 ounce big blades, the 3/8 ounce in the jackhammers and the kind of according ones, and these don't do it as well. The Strike King ones don't. The Thunder Crickets, they get that jumping around deal, and that's what the 1/2 ounce big blade does. I feel like it does the same thing. So if you guys are used to throwing those 3/8 and even 1/2 ounce jackhammers on your traditional stuff, that's what this big blade feels like on the Tequila Baccarat and the Dobbins 704, even though they're considered heavy action. And then the hookup ratio between the big blade, and like I said, I use this briefly on the Dobbins, but it was kind of on the tequila back rack, and this was on the Dobbins. I probably caught more fish because you guys know me. I throw black and blue. I just get on little kicks, and I just keep throwing it, and it keeps catching fish every so many casts, so I keep throwing it. But this guy was the same way up in the other spots. So that little 1-2 punch, which is never fails when I go out and I do color tests, which it wasn't really doing a color test today. I just once I got colors that sort of were getting hit. That darker, like less visibility, it always jumps to the extremes. It's always usually like a whitey color and then a blacky color, right? Something to those extremes. Now, could I have pulled out my other brighter with more chartreuse and tried them? I could have, but I didn't because I was having so much fun. These things were just smashing them. So, let me read some comments. Yeah, like it was a very good day. Well, you come to the right place. If you're here to learn, get whopper ploppers, cheddar baits, rattle traps, zinkers. I'm going to hook you up. Oh, no, I got the Baby Rage Menace, but I didn't put any on because at this place, honestly, luckily, I'm going to pull this dude off and melt him down, but this swim on has made it through more fish and still there than any swim on I've put on the back, because normally after so many fish they just one of them rips this off. But like I mentioned, there was only a few dinks out and about. These were all like pretty solid chunks of fish. They were inhaling the bait. Let me read some more comments here. Yeah, the big blades, I'm telling you guys right now, the mini maxes and the big blade are like legit. Like whether you're and honestly, they fit in better, in my opinion anyway. They fit in better, the big blade does, with like it. So if you're a guy that throws the Z-Man originals, I would think that your rod is more suited for the big blades. But I'm not saying that you can't also throw them right on your jackhammer rod. If you throw in the full size jackhammer deal. But I know if you're like me and you're dealing with those 3/8 of an ounce, they typically just start getting a smaller hook, or those like the mini maxes, these Neo Nobi ones, even the Jackie Hammer ones that are coming in are a little bit smaller hook. So I really feel like you need a different rod for mini maxes and the smaller chatterbaits than you do for the bigger Thunder Cricket, that 5/0 hook, the big blades, the Z-Man originals, and I'm sure there's other chatterbaits out there, bladed jigs that the bigger, a little bit stouter rod is probably better off for hookup ratios and all that. But I'm happy with the. That's why I don't know if the footage will ever make it, but I'm like, I have like 150 chatterbaits and only 3 Thunder Crickets, and I kind of realized now they don't still go through wood real, they will get hung up, but I feel like they do have their own little niche. They're a little softer than a jackhammer, so they don't chatter as well as a jackhammer, but I think sometimes them fish want that. Like this little dude right here puts off way more of a vibration than these Thunder Crickets. And I like him because he jumps around this and that. This thing goes insane. But what's weird is how that little blade on a 1/2 ounce and then this big blade on a 1/2 ounce, I mean, you could just look at them and tell, like, they're going to give off a different vibration. But both were working. And I think any of these may have worked. This, I just think that 1/2 ounce, and I would have to pay attention to slow down with the big blade because it will want to ride up a little bit, but I could slow down a little bit. And it's hard. I would swear, now I don't have any proof of this. I would swear, though, that the big blade lets you go through a little nastier areas because that big, I started cuss. The big blade is almost like knocking stuff out of the way, like the gunk or whatever, more so than these littler ones, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in big blades. That's what I was saying in the videos that you may or may not see at some point. I'm like, I definitely need to invest in more of these. I only have this one in this color, and then 2 half ounce in the bluegill. I need to get. I probably need to back this color up, but I need to get a couple, and I've been going to do it because Rogers, I think, has them for only $9.99, I think. But I've been going to get the full heavy, the heaviest size. I think I'm going to jump from. So this is the lightest, half ounce, and I think they have 3/4, and then I don't know. They have like 3 sizes, so I don't think I'm going to even mess with the middle size. But I think I am going to go ahead and get the heaviest they have, just so that if I want to get still reeling about the same speed I am this one, but it'll be down a little deeper. I don't have to worry about slowing down as much to let it go deeper for when they are biting in deeper water. Because you'll have that time. That's one thing where I see there's a place for all these, because there's some of that deeper water where me and Charles were fishing, the half-ounce and even the big blade, like it's hard for them, we're all talking about when they're super shallow, you want them to hover. But there's times, even like there's places in Pogue, where they're in that little bit deeper grass to where those 5/8 on the Thunder Crickets, they can get down in there and work. So I know I got a ton of chatterbaits, so I'm just going to kind of slowly refine where, when, and how I'm using them kind of thing. But this is like what I consider your just standard chatterbait, 3/8 or a half-ounce in the Z-Man lineup, the Evo or the Jackhammer or the AliExpress knockoffs that just overall you can use. But then there's times when you'll want to go a little heavier to get a little deeper, and there's times when you'll want to go to like what these are even lighter than those Jackie Hammers or the Jackhammers in the 3/8 or the Evos or whatever. They just do a little more dancing than those other baits, but they don't really, you got to go slow. So if they're wanting, a normal speed and they're a little deeper, that's when you would go to either your 3/8, half-ounce, probably half-ounce, even a touch bigger than this one, like this dude. But then there's times when you want to get down and dirty and go even a little more. But there's always a time to check them on that big blade. I think the dirtier the water, like but I've seen times like in Pogue, the bluegill colored one is tearing them up, and that water, there's times when it's 6-8 foot or better visibility. So I don't know. They definitely give off a different vibe deal. That's just like the little mini maxes. I like those because they just have an even more subtle than the Thunder Cricket or the other ones. So anyway. Oh, they don't have, these are custom. So these Thunder Crickets started out as gold-bladed. This was green pumpkin gold blade. I picked up a Rogers, it's only $5. So I added, that's got the, I think that's just a bluegrass skirt thrown on it. I like this one just for something like this. You just add a darker color. It's a natural, you can add green pumpkin. You could actually add this to brighten it up, or you could even put the orange, whether it was one of these in orange, or just stick you an orange Zinkers on it. Like you can go all different ways with this dude, but that's the head I like. So I'm thinking about buying. You can buy these in bulk, but that dude's caught quite a few fish. Just not today. It felt like it was getting too deep. This started out as actually a whole different color head, more like a white. The same thing though. They were just selling some of these 5/8. Oddball colors and the gold blade at Rogers were clearing them out for $5, so I could not pass them up. So I bought both of those, and then I should have bought, they had some other I think they were 3/8. I don't know. They're Thunder Cricket 3/8, just like the tungsten ones. They look they look weird. The heads are so small. But this dude I actually paid full price. Where did I get this at? Did I buy that at Rogers or Tackle Warehouse? I don't even remember now. But like $13.99, I think. He's got his money's worth. He's getting a little beat up. You can kind of see He's getting some marks. Blade's getting somewhere. This dude's caught a lot of fish in a short amount of time, and I stuck him on wood a couple times. Hook's still sharp. He's going strong. He's a soldier. These dudes, if you guys haven't seen to where I found the flaw that these the blades can come off, I fixed it on almost every once in a while. I spot one that I hadn't done yet, but I've done pretty much however many of the Nobies that I bought. I went through them and bent, kind of just twist that around more. Yeah, I haven't even tried the tungsten ones yet, but I don't know what I'm thinking about doing. And after today, since I've got a rod that I like for the Thunder Crickets, that Dobyns rod, and I mean they just work, but I don't know if I definitely don't need that many 5/8 is the only thing. You can't find a half ounce as cheap, but you can go on there and get roughly this color a head. So you can get like Bruiser, Black and Blue, Mouse, and there's another one was similar to this head, but one of them's got like a little blue painted right here. But you can get the 5/8 ounce Thunder Crickets on eBay for it's $60 a dozen, so averages out to about $5 a piece, and that's cheap for a chatterbait period. But for a these that are always what, $11.99, $12.99 or whatever, just a regular Thunder Cricket. So I thought about just buying those in bulk just so I'd have them, right? The problem is I don't know how hard it would be to try to add a gold blade. So what I'm thinking about doing is just like I did on my those cross eyes. Even if I think about buying some of the 5/8 and just half of them I'll just keep back and keep as basically like spares. You only need so many 5/8 ounce chatterbaits, and then I could always grind a couple down just to lighten them up just a touch, make them my own custom weight. They don't have to be 5/8. They don't have to be a half ounce. They just get them like lighter, maybe flatten them to where they're more likely if you want to try to skip them or something down, and then repaint the bottom of it just a reddish kind of color. But at $5 a piece, that would probably be okay. So what I have coming is supposed to be in today. I've got a Tackle Warehouse order coming, and I did order. They were on I think they were like $7 because they were clearing out a couple of the other gold blades. So I have the gold blade, what do they call it, bone. I think it's a half ounce. Thunder Cricket coming, so it's got like the bonish color, kind of crazy off-whitish yellow, which should actually work good like where we were today. And I believe a half ounce, and I got a spot remover gold blade, and I believe 5/8 ounce coming. So technically, honestly, that's probably I wouldn't need but a couple more, maybe Thunder Crickets to fill everything. But man, that's pretty cheap. $5 a Thunder Cricket. I've thought about just buying them and having them, a couple more. And then weeding out, because I think I've pushed the limits to where I feel, the Z-Man Originals, because they're like $5 baits, right? Yeah, you wait long enough, just like you can get these for on sale or whatever. They work very good, and you can't really, I guess you can, but you can't really knock them because they do catch fish. But I don't plan on buying any more. I probably won't buy any more Z-Man Original. I just bought a couple, and I don't know. I say that, but then when they come on sale, because I think this guy was in a clearance bin for like $1. So I'm like, dude, for $1.25 a Z-Man Original, and I believe that's 3/8 ounce. I'm like, I'll just get it. I can always peel them skirts off. I could put on, any of these skirts kind of thing, put on a white. You can actually get spot remover skirts and then turn that into a spot remover kind of thing and throw it on my 2 big rods for chatterbaits, right? But I don't need none of that. I don't need any of that. Like, I don't need to go that route. So stay tuned to the channel. We'll talk about that. So let's just talk about Now I've talked about it, I think, once before, and I'm going to explain after I caught so many fish on this today and a few on this one on the Dobbins. And I'll be honest, I probably never would have even thrown a chatterbait on the Dobbins rod because it just, right? It's a 7 foot heavy. Like, you don't, that's not what you throw chatterbaits with. But I'm just going to show you. There was two things. The fact that I had thrown the big blade on the tequila back rack and just did so good. And then, I don't know if you guys, it might be hard to make out down here. But sometime down here, I noticed that these eyes are like a cool colors before I even got thunder crickets. I'm like, man, that's kind of this cool gray on the, and I'm not even sure what kind of I know they're Fuji, but I'm not even sure what kind or whatever. But they got this crazy cool color. Well, it just so happens it's almost the same looking finish as whatever Z-Man uses, that gray silver, silky silver or whatever, silky gray or whatever. So I don't know. I saw that and I'm like, oh, once I got I think it was just when I got this thunder cricket, I'm like, oh, that's like the same color. I wonder if it's like, what kind of material is that? That's before I knew what the Zowire or any of that kind of stuff. So anyway, I was like, I ought to just try. Then maybe that's a sign from the fish gods that I should try chatterbait on this. That chatterbait, the big, honking hooks. So I just finally today, I was like, let's do that. Because I almost sold this rod to Jeremy. I'm like, yeah, I'll take what I gave for it. I gave $200 for it. 704C, HP, whatever. So I stole this Lew's deal off my other Lew's. It fits this little reel better. That's a little goldish, orangish one. And man, it was working. It was sticking. Like I said, only two out of 12, maybe 10 or 12. I'm not even sure how many bass I actually caught. I caught a bunch. That was probably my main bait. That was probably second. This was right there. And if you add that one with it, because I switched, that was like game on. They're basically the same exact bait, just a different color. These are different baits. They're still chatterbaits, but they've got a little different to them. These are 100% the same, doing the same thing other than the color is different. Over the Whopper Plopper. So probably this dude. But man, the hookup ratio, like I said, I didn't miss one. I don't think I missed one with the tequila back rack either with this one. Did I? I missed a couple, like I said, two with the Whopper Plopper with the tequila back rack. But I'm trying to remember. I might have missed one with the tequila back rack with this. But like I said, I don't think I missed one with this Dobbins, and I know I only missed. I was counting that two. Now I had a couple bumps with all these chatterbaits. I don't count those like oh, and there's just nothing there because they're hitting at it, kind of thing. So I don't count that. But if I feel something and then I go to set the hook and I feel like a weight of a fish, and then even if I don't see him come off, but especially if he jumps up and spits it out at me, I'm like that was on me or the rod or something's a little off, or every once in a while you just feel the bites off. But today the bite was on, and just two of them for whatever reason I didn't keep pinned, and they weren't any kind of monsters. The bigger ones I got in, which most of them were, so I got most all of them in with that dude. And so I missed two and only one, and I still don't know why. The hook wasn't like all the way sunk in, but I got him in. It was like, okay, didn't quite get as hard a hook penetration for whatever reason, but I don't even count that. So anyway, the Dobbins 704, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep it, and I'm tempted to track down a 703 if I could find a deal on one. So let's talk about not really a disappointment, but man, oh man. As much as the Poison Adrena, I end up lay around for all the other stuff. I end up using other stuff. There is nothing better, for rattle traps than that Poison Adrena, period. It like sticks them. So I don't think I missed any fish that hit these, but the main one was the poison adrenaline I was using. Did not miss a fish on the poison adrenaline. So I also wanted to try the Elite. Right, so this is one, it and the Signature series I tried with rattle traps too, and I was trying other stuff. I cannot make myself like this rod as much as my other rod. So I don't like the Elite. This 6'10" medium heavy. It should be very close to that Signature series. I do not like it as well. I like the reel better than that Hyper Mag that's on it. But I can't make myself like this rod as much. So I need to figure out, I don't know if maybe I need to try it with the, I don't like it. I think I'm going to try it with some of the bigger, the swim bait stuff, because it's got to have I don't know, there's got to be something I like it for. It works. I mean, it was doing the job. It works okay for the rattle traps, and honestly, it was probably just the fact that reeled 7.5 to 1. If I would have switched out and put it 8.5 to 1, I mean, it'll do the rattle traps. It'll do bottom bouncing stuff. It is kind of a versatile rod, but I just don't like it as well as a Signature. I don't like it as well as a Poison Adrena. And then that's about the only ones to compare it to where its power rating is. Kind of with the Blade, but the Blade's a whole nother beast. It's a little 6'8" little monster that I like better than all those rods for that stuff, sort of like that. Other than, well, I haven't even tried it. The Blade I got it, tried it for chatterbaits, loved it, and that's just what I always threw on it. I've since then started throwing a few other things, but I mainly throw chatterbaits on it. No, this isn't a chatterbait giveaway. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I mean, you can find the Dobbins, the 704s, or the HP, the Champion Extreme HPs. They're like 365, 335. I don't know. They're expensive. I picked this one up luckily at Rogers for $200, and I was gonna sell it to Jeremy for 200. I'm gonna keep it now. No, the spinnerbait. I was looking at it. I kept looking at it, but I never even made it. I even put them in. I got them sitting in the front of my box. So when you unzip my box, you guys will see it coming up in the video. You unzip the front and drop it down to access the 3700 boxes. There's like some clear plastic where you can put, and I got spinner baits lined out on the bottom. I didn't even pull one out. I just looked at them all day. $724. Yeah, the 4 should be roughly the same power as the 704 is how they go on those. So Dobins are pretty simple. So it's a 7'2" 4, so it's just 2 inches longer than that. So yeah, the bigger blade. I mean, just the 4 power Dobbins seems to do real well with these big honking hooks. Yeah, the hook keepers. Oh, you guys can make your own hook keepers too on certain reels. Like, I don't know, you guys remember what, I'm sure you've seen this. Now, depending on where it's at, but the Zillion, I just took, that is actually I think it started life as a crappie jig. And I just took the wire, bent it, tweaked it, and trick is to sandpaper smooth that to where it isn't like sharp or whatever. And you can buy them to where you screw them on or whatever. But yeah, I like the idea of. Lou's got some good ideas, but yeah, this hook keeper deal, I like that on all those where you just have a place to put it. I don't like what 13 Fishing did here. I think it makes the reel look stupid. And plus, no matter what, it's just a little area. Even if you try to put your own little thing there, the minute you put something there and then it starts getting around, you're going to destroy that front of that reel. So if it's just a tool, period, then yeah, it's not as big a deal. But man, if you at some point in time either want to just resell or you just like your stuff to look kind of nice, you don't want to like grab a bait you know, and then stick it right there. Even if that little keeper thing, like that is not the place, right? Stick a bait like right there, because that it's a no-no. Oh God! Speaking of no-no, I'm gonna scratch it. It's like playing Operation over here. This reel, I love this reel. I keep finding myself just like the Poison Adrena. It's always setting unless I'm throwing rattle traps. I find this is just always setting unless I make myself like, let's get it and let's find something that works for it. It's like, nah, it sucks. I don't like it for that. I don't like it, as well for that as I do this. And that's what I find myself with that rod. And it's not the reel, it's a rod. So I think what I'm going to do is not necessarily my little swim baits. I didn't even, like, as you can tell, a lot of stuff didn't get thrown today because I don't know. I'm just on a good enough bite. I didn't need to. I was trying some different stuff, but I was like, I ought to get this or I ought to get that. But then got another one. Oh, got another one. Like, well, why? Why do I need to do that? Like I was on this, when it went on its little tear, it went on it. And then this and that, those two, once I was kind of just, going around through colors, through sizes, and got stuck on that one. And then this guy, there was no need to really switch other stuff. And then when I was trying any kind of back, I felt like once I slowed down to soft plastic, there was no point. It's like, why am I slowing down to keep throwing the stuff that's working faster? They even wanted even more kind of thing. So yeah, let me get a drink of Fireball. Like I said, if you guys, I would have probably still been out fishing, but my GoPro, my computer is gone. I don't have a computer. The GoPro, I had so many SD cards. I just finished filling up all three. I got like a 123 or 128, 64, and a 32. Yeah, they jumped by 32, 64, and then I think it's 120. I don't know. But all three of those, filled them all up over from last week fishing with Charles and then me fishing today. So I got to either go buy more SD cards. I got the GoPro batteries charging right now. So I need to run to the store and get some more SD cards or go buy a computer, download everything I got on those three SD cards to my little storage box. I got a couple different styles. Then in order to go fishing tomorrow and actually record that footage, I still may go. I may just get up early in the morning, go to Pogue, and then come back and do this kind of video and tell you guys how I did at Pogue without actually even recording. Because I'll be honest, the day me and Charles went out and we got on this little bite, so I did all the recording, GoPro batteries, like we were done. Last battery went dead. It was a whole full day of fishing, and then we got on this crazy, insane pink bite. Like after we'd already stopped recording, it was just me and Charles tearing them up, fishing for fun. I'm like, it's kind of nice to be out here just cussing, or you know what I mean, carrying on. I don't cuss regularly a lot, but not to have to worry about what I say because I have to edit it out if it's in there, and all that kind of stuff. So. Sometimes the whole trying to be on camera while you're catching a fish is, if you guys try to record yourself, you probably know what I'm talking about. Okay, get the camera angle here. Oh, let me go. Okay, then something just that on the back of your mind can actually make your fishing slow down or be a little worse for the day. No, the Zinkers, the ones I did try the Zinkers on, they weren't really, but this place that I go to, it's really not, I don't know, it's a weird place. Like once you get it figured out, it can be pretty good. But this place is a honey hole. I swear to you, it's a honey hole. And it's like, not like I'm trying to lie about it, but I've taken people fishing there that skunk out, like that can't catch fish. This is one of those places where once you get on something and you track it down and you figure out what they'll hit, like it can be a game over. You're going to tear them up, or you can go there and it may take you 2 hours of going, what in the world did these fish want? And when it gets gunked up, it's actually, the grass is in decent shape, I consider it. So like the slimy gunk, if you guys remember back a few years ago, I was doing videos from this same place. Like if it hit, like I call it the death. What did I call it? Me and Bones, that guy, were fishing. I called it the death something because you'd literally cast out, and if you got in this one spot of this crazy grassy stuff, it was like this stringy. Imagine if like your braid blew apart all the little strands and then wrapped itself around your baits. Like it was impossible. That's probably why I stopped fishing spinner baits there. You know how spinner baits will twist up the grass. Like it was a nightmare. That stuff seems to have died off because I've been there in a year, and it seemed to be just. But the grass doesn't seem to be real lively either. I guess because it's so kind of murky. So the trick there is to get down by the grass, pull the bait when you pull free from the grass. You got to have something light enough, yet a rod stout enough that pulls it completely free, and you don't come back with the strands of grass because then they tend to not hit that as well. So between this bait, and then this just going crazy, like you guys, I was definitely fishing this faster than I've ever probably fished any bait, and they were wanting it. Like a couple hits, I could have sworn were like 10 pounders, but I was already going so fast when they literally hit it, like it's just a freight train stopping you in your tracks kind of deal. And it was something else. It was a good little bite though. Yeah, it was wind blowing in on the dam, and I was fishing the dam is where all of this kind of stuff. Now this was all over. This, you guys know Black and Blue. Wherever I threw it, I caught them. But no, the chatterbaits were like up right into the, as tight as you could go and not get gunked, and then when you're out a little bit away from that, then letting them get down in and kind of keeping them basically ticking across. You weren't on bottom, but you're what I call the grassy bottom, gunky stuff was working, and this was just along as tight as you could get it and still keep it out of the gunk, but which was and then a fast-paced reel. I think I caught one or two. I finally got out a little deeper where I could slow down like a normal, kind of slow retrieve, and then popping it, every once in a while. And I caught a couple decent ones that way. But man, it was like that high and tight, fishing it fast, and probably somewhere around 2 to 4 foot of water, but more or less 2 foot to 4 foot of water above the grass. So I was probably out in deeper water, but the grass, that was grown up with the gunky stuff. But I caught a few like real tight to the bank just by as soon as it hit, you had to pick up the, hopefully hit an open area, cast them way away from you, and then just start reeling as soon as it hit the water and come through that shallow stuff. And it was a pretty good bite. But yeah, this place that I went to, I've taken people there before, and matter of fact, not dogging Charles, but I'm pretty sure Charles, we met up, Charles, Bones Eye Guy finally, like he caught a couple, and he's been with me there one time before. Charles was his first time in his kayak, and Bones Eye Guy was in his kayak. Bones Eye Guy got lucky, and he went off the dam, and he caught a nice bass, 4 or 5 pounder, but he'd only caught like 1 or 2. And so I know where to go, how to go, and I was fishing actually the little bitty, actually it was the true, well, it's 2 baits. It was a 1/2 ounce white, something that I think is when I first started putting this on it to get it to match a spot remover of a true 3/8 jackhammer. And we were catching like that. And then I've always done pretty good on Black and Blue, but this is the place, I don't even have the color with me, but basically something like this. And which I probably should have done with this. I was taking jigs. This is the same place where I found out, and I didn't even try it today. I didn't make it that far. That a jig or chatterbait, if you have a chartreuse one, put an orange trailer. If you have an orange one, put a chartreuse trailer. So the opposite colors of bright orange and chartreuse mixed in jigs and chatterbaits, I've done pretty good, like swimming the little jigs around. So like you take a chartreusey jig and then put one of these wherever I got one laying. I guess I put them all up somewhere. But like those little yum craws on the chartreuse skirt, I've caught them different ways like that. And I didn't even make it that far today because I was trying other stuff. So I got little tricks at this place. How strong a wind's going to be? Like we were in the wind was blowing in on the bank, and there was just enough cloud cover. Like it wasn't a bright day. It was just, the sun, you could kind of make out the outline of it, but it was just enough of I wouldn't even call them clouds. It was just like the overcast, like the normal morning burn off just never really took place. And so it just stayed kind of slightly overcast to where I never felt like, well, I didn't put on any sunscreen. I probably should have, but I never felt hot. I didn't actually start sweating until I was loading the boat, going to leave at like 1 o'clock. But I would say maybe 5, 8 mile an hour wind. Wasn't real strong winds. I could maneuver my boat. I only ever was on the 1 or 2 setting, maneuvering the boat around. So it wasn't very strong winds, but a solid, consistent wind, and not super bright skies. But it was perfect fishing weather. I wish I would have had more energy and GoPro SD cards, because I would probably still be out there fishing. I would have I'll be honest. Back in my heydays, or if I had thought to take something to eat, and maybe not had plenty to drink. Not Fireball. Don't take any Fireball because I've been tempted to drink it. It was a definitely game on. Makes me want to go tomorrow, but like I said, now I could go right back to the same place. But I always like to, when I go and I catch that many, I usually like to just let that place like rest, right? Give it a week or two at least. I probably won't go there for another couple weeks. So I'm gonna hit up Charles. I don't know what he's got going on next week, but we still have a few places that we haven't even hit in like over a year down to Fish by Charles. I have a couple places up here that I haven't even hit. I've only hit Pogue once. So the Paradise we only hit once. The pit down behind Paradise we haven't even hit. Pit up from Paradise we haven't even hit. We haven't even hit if we ever go back there, the RV ATV park or something down there in Deepwater, Missouri, which sucks, but we want to hit it again because I think they've had a flood. That's a place that comes and goes. And the very first time I got back into fishing with Charles 4 years ago, whatever it was. So went basically down there to fish with Charles in the Clinton area. He's like, "Oh, come down here. We'll go here." I flat tore him up with this bait right here. I mean, like cast after cast. You can go back and look. The outro, the never-ending outro or whatever they call it, just was tearing him up. And we did pretty good before we went to do the outro and caught so many bass out of that place. Since then, every time we went back there, that pit sucks. The only thing I figure is somebody went in there and just fished it out. Or a few people did. If the bite was still that good and enough word got out, enough people showed up. Because like I said, there's places that, off out in the boonies and I'm not around. Who knows how often or when they get hit or whatever. No, I run always braid the leader. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about, because I was using it on the Dobbins and I fished it a lot today, is I don't know that I can knock this line either. That's the, if you guys remember right, I'm a firm believer in P-Line Original, but man, that P-Line double X or whatever, where is that line at? Where do I have that line at? Hang on a second. So P-Line Original, I still have to go with that, but I need to go buy some 12 pound because I think it'd be more equivalent to 15. I don't know if I can do the test here or not, but yeah, this is what I use. And I'll be honest, I use the 20 instead of 15 just because if you go on there and you look at the charts, you know what I mean? You can look up at Tackle Warehouse and the chart for P-Line Original, and then this P-Line, what do they call that? Extra Strong. This stuff is actually thicker than this. And I believe that even this 15 pound They call it 15. That's not 15 pound. The 15 pound is thicker than a P-Line Original 20. It definitely doesn't have as much stretch. So it is tougher. It's almost like it goes more towards their copolymers. I believe both of them are. I know this is. I think this is too. So this one says more for abrasion resistant, extra tough, extra strong. So, right, it's strong. But this says ultra thin, low memory, ultra strong. This is what I've always used. But I went to 20 pound because when I looked at the chart, the difference, there's always those lines, and it's not even just P-Line. If you go look up a lot of different lines, the diameter jump to the line size jump, sometimes there's that little niche to where like the 15 pound test to the 20 is so minimal. I'm like, why don't I just throw 20 instead of the 15? Because I typically, was throwing 10 pound and then 15 pound. And then I'm like, I started having some issues, not really even with the fish, just with me when I do those crazy backlash, like I just wear up so super hard and I cast. And if I got one little nick in the line with the 15 pound on any line over the years, period. So that's why before I started using P-Line, I used 17 pound. What did I use? I can't remember now. But I used to like to use 17 pound. Then I got P-Line, I went to 15 pound. But then I started looking on the chart and the difference in diameter, because I was like, there's not a lot of difference. And then once I got it, which is true, there's not a lot of difference in the diameter between 15 and 20. And most of the water I fish, they are fine with the 20. The 15 is, I'm going to try to, I have no idea if you guys can see what I'm talking about. I would swear that this 15, I'm almost positive, is thicker than the 20. But this line is good. But they basically just build this monster line, call it 15. Well, it's not going to break past until it gets past 20 or whatever. So yeah, it's extra strong, but it's underrated as what it is how they, I think, also pull that off kind of thing, right? Sleight of hand, little tricksters. But I think if you get the 12 pound, is probably smaller than, it's probably equivalent to close to be what the 20 or whatever. So I may do that. And the whole reason, the point of any of this is the fact that this, if I happen to run out or whatever, I lost a spool and I need to spool up, you can't just go anywhere. That P-Line Original is, I think, there's some place, but Tackle Warehouse is the only place I've ever really seen it or ordered it from. Is once I found it there, I just get it from Tackle Warehouse. And I'm like, well, this year I kind of would like to have a line that I can just go to Bass Pro and tie on as leader, but I always tie a braid to a leader. So I tried this, and so far, honestly, today I felt like, and oh, that's another thing. I did not retie all day long, and I need to, as I'm saying that, I need to retie before I go fishing again, because especially on this rod, the blade, the Keela Baccarat, even the Super Destroyer that cut enough, jack around with enough frog fish through the frog in enough nasty places. The other rods I could probably get by. No, probably both of the. I threw these little baits here in and around enough that I probably should retie with the on the NRX Plus rods. But anyway, so this line I really can't say. I don't know. I'm definitely not buying any more 15 pound. That stuff is, I think it's a little, I don't know. I'm thinking about getting the 12 and then just trying it for the, like the blade. But then this line I'll probably go ahead and use for like this, like the Dobbins, the Super Destroyer, and the two Lew's 610 medium heavies. I'll probably go ahead and use that. Either or, really. But I've got them both in the box to use. I probably need to track down as I'm trying to lighten it up. Because if I don't know, did I mention how much it weighed? So that new Calcutta box you're getting ready to see weighs like 35 pounds. So I dropped basically 4 different tackle boxes size. Now I can't get everything in there I had in the 4, so I'm still back and forth on that. but I didn't feel like I needed, like I got out and I used all this and I didn't feel like, oh, left anything behind. I brought out everything I had. So I did bring, I had them just stuck on the side. I took, well here, I'll just pull them out just so you guys can see. The soft plastics, I didn't take a lot because I got some already rigged up, just thrown loosely. But it was kind of dark enough. I didn't think I would, my favorite colors to throw would be any good. So this is going to have to wait for another test. I did have those, and I rigged up me a little hodgepodge, like my favorite color, Baby Rage Menace. We also have like the blue sapphire, the black and blue. There's a white one. There's a summer craw. There's the one good one I got left of the crawdad. That's another summer craw, I think. And then I got the one pack of the full size in my favorite color, Rage Menace. And then didn't even make it to the June bug deal. But all those were just stuffed in one side of my new box. And then, like I mentioned, I had, well, let me show it to you. Hang on. Let me just show you. I'm not going to reveal the whole thing yet. So let me just show you. So my chatterbait box was working. Let me move this rod. Let me get off there. Get back. Thunder chicken, get out of the way. So let me move this. I'll just cover these up. So my chatterbait box, and what's funny is I got a spinnerbait sitting in there. So that dude, I took him off a while back when I switched out to chatterbait, and I was gonna rig him up with some kind of trailer and throw him, but I never did. So he just sat patiently in the chatterbait box. He's good for now. So I've got my Z-Man Elastec. Let me move it this way a little bit. So I made sure and put, I've got these in there. I got these in there. I've got a little assortment. So when I go, once I open it up, I can grab, which I did. I got some of those. I had one of the pink ones, and I actually had to go to my Igloo box for the Zinkers, but got those out. And so I could track down what I wanted, pulled out until all the Strike Kings that I own, I got out and tried. I meant to pull this guy out. I wanted to give him a shot, the actual Evo. I was going to put, I don't know, probably orange. But since I just didn't make it that far, and I wanted to try this guy. I meant to go in here and get one of these yellow ones. I just wanted to try that color in that water. But yeah, we didn't make it any further down this way. So I had all the soft plastics that I would need for the chatterbaits, but like I said, once I got on those two, that was working, so it was like, why switch? I didn't even get out any of the ones. There's not enough like wood cover to worry about the ones that are like, and the weedless ones, they don't work any better in that, when you're in that grassy weeds like that, it's just a gunk that the whole bait, literally the line and all, like, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to drink my Fireball, and if I decide to go wherever, I'm not driving. I'm going to have Olivia drive me. If I go anywhere, I may just sit here and chill out and get up tomorrow and then go try to get stuff taken care of, and we'll worry about fishing for next weekend. Dude, do not tie the FG knot. You guys are ridiculous. FG knot, man, FG knot. Dude, that knot sucks. I don't have enough. First of all, I tried it, and I thought I had it. And all it takes is that one time. Brew Tank done got me fired up. Let's talk about it. Let me explain this. Hang on, let me drink a little Fireball. You guys done got me fired up. Alright. I was going to take 2 drinks of Fireball. Okay. Here's why. I'm going to tell you a little story about a black and blue chatterbait I used to have. He's a lovely little chatterbait. He's black and blue, gold blade. Took the time, made him up special, threw him out. Honestly, the place I just came from today, this is like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Place I just came from today, however many years ago, I made a long bomb cast. I think it's back when I had I think I still had the Fantasista Abu Garcia rod with, was it a Revo? MG Extreme 2 reel. Anyway, made that cast, got a hit, boom, and just boing, like very like not much pressure, not much whatever, gone. Why? FG knot. So let me get this out. Let me get, which rod do I want to use? I don't know. Let's grab a random rod. No. Let's grab this one just because it's already exposed dead. So let's just go with my favorite of the day. Actually, this rod and reel did not get a ton of use. I tried it briefly with, I think it had the pink chatterbait, caught one fish, and then I threw the rattle trap briefly, and it was just screaming. I maybe caught one other fish, but you guys have seen the days in this one. Well, maybe you haven't seen the days yet. I don't know how much footage you've seen or not. Where it's gone on a tear and caught a bunch of fish. But anyway, so I'll just go through both my knots real quick. I use my main, this is what I call a Berkeley knot. And you know what? Let's just do something different real quick. Let's just do this. I'm going to put this one back down. Let's grab the one that I was just talking about, because I know I've caught a lot of fish on it, and I know I need to retie it. Let's just break it out. Let's just unsheath the beast. Right? Lose. For all you losers out there, this is probably the best reel going for lose. Okay, so for $2.79, it is hard to beat that. Now I added the drag clicker. Whoa, dude, get off the drag clicker. Get out of there. Oh my goodness, get out of there. You're gonna break my other knobs. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me just shoot this thing into outer space. Okay, you stay there. That was perfect. So let's just talk about knots real quick, because I'm not messing around. I'm telling you, Brew Tank, I'm not messing around with you on this. So here, I'm going to just show you a little why I say that an FG knot sucks, especially for bass fishing. Now, if you're out where you're casting and you're not reeling back in, or not really, even if you had a long enough leader, I guess I could see where guys use it for like on spinning, and then you literally have 20 or 30 foot of other line, maybe. But here's the thing. So when you're reeling in, even not just when you're fighting a fish, but when you're reeling in your line, your rod has always got, like, especially the more, I guess, load that a bait has on your rod, like any knot is coming in and out at an angle, right? It's down here, it's at this angle, and it's coming in and out of that guide. And everybody's like, oh, well, the FG knot, it's a smooth transition. But it is still, even if it's long, and I don't have one here tied up to show you, but you're stressing that knot every time. Maybe not when you cast, because a lot of times when you cast, it shoots out, right? It's probably not as much stress as every time you reel that bait in, even if you don't get a fish. But if you're out there and you get on a bite, okay, and you're pulling, you're stressed, that's bent down, but you're still coming at a kind of an angle. So the FG knot is a longer knot, and it's always doing this, right? It's always getting a little stress. It's basically twisting it around. Now, I think that's why it sucks for, like, on a bait casting thing where you're constantly, casting and back and forth. And unless you're prepared to retie that, like, every so often, because I think that's where mine went bad. Now, this is just a simple double uni knot or whatever. Right? You guys seen everybody make those. This knot, to me, it's one of those, and what's funny is who explained it the easiest to me. or as far as I heard him, when I heard him say it this way, was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly why I use that knot. Because I want a knot, no matter what. When I tie a knot, I want a knot that I can just look at it and go, I tied that right. It's tied right. Okay. And that is a knot that has that. I don't care who you are or how you are, that FG knot, first of all, you're like, okay, I tied it, but honestly, did you tie it good? Like, how many in and outs of that tip can it take before it kind of loosens, right? So, yeah, back in the day, I tried it and I thought I had it sorted down. And I had one other time that I thought was a fluke. I lost something. I can't remember what it was. But that story I just told you about losing a black and blue chatterbait, 100% the truth. When that happened, I went F the FG knot. I will never tie that knot again. So I'm just going to, I don't even think I need to. So I talked about, like, I caught a bunch of fish, but that's kind of how good that line is. Let me put something on it I can yank. I'm going to try to yank on this and see if I can get it to break. Because I don't know, I caught a bunch of fish. I've even got that, man, that, I don't know if you guys can see, that snap is bent. That is not supposed to be bent. That snap is kind of bent out of whack. Caught a bunch of fish. But I don't think I think I could go fishing again, but I'm going to retie that knot. And I'll just show you guys this knot because a lot of people, I don't think, know I'm going to leave that hooked up because that's usually how I use this to, like, just cinch up my knots. So let's take a perfectly good knot, but it has been, that thing was hard to cut. So check your line. If you're running a leader, I just run my fingers, like you run your fingers through your hair. If you feel something itchy, it's probably head lice, but anyway. Okay, this line still feels good. Like, it feels very good. And I just cut it off. I should probably cut at least just another, even though I'm going to get past that point, just a half inch off. So the knot I use for the tie, if you're tying your bait on, or now there's two, and I'll tell you why I use this one over the other one. The knot that is, honestly, if I'm fishing fluorocarbon, like for some reason I'm going to try, Sunline Shooter or Sniper, and I'm tying fluorocarbon, I do the shark knot, which I'll show you. I'm not going to tie it, but I'll show you. Mark Zona, I think somebody else, I saw it briefly before Mark Zona put out a video, and he calls it the shark knot. Somebody out, he was shark fishing, showed it to him. It's called something else. But you double the line up, and you simply hold the line here, and then in the other finger, and then you twist this 7 times. 7, probably could do 8. But then all you do to finish, I'm not going to do it because I feel it wastes too much of my leader, because it does take up some line to get it tied. You end up with a pretty long tag in. But after you've twisted that like 7 or 8 times, you take this loop and go through this, not down here, but through the loop that'll be in here. And then you take that and then you wet it and cinch all that up, and you'll end up with a tag end here and then the loop that you cut off. And he calls it the shark knot, I believe. That's the toughest knot I've ever seen. But the knot I'm going to show you, other than fluorocarbon, I've never had it fail unless I'm like, oh God, when's the last time I checked that knot? Like, this thing here has probably caught 20 fish and it was still fine. And thrown it in and around brush and all kinds of stuff. And it still felt, pretty good. But this knot, as I'm trying to go, it's hard to do it that way. You just go through and then go through again. Now, I've heard it called, I call it the Berkeley knot. I don't know if I saw it on a Berkeley package first or whatever, but I just go through twice. I'm trying to do it where it'll stay focused. You go through twice, so there's a loop there, and then you wrap 6 times, Now, if you're dealing with like this line, I could probably only go 5, or once you get into thick lines, sometimes I only go 5. I don't go 6. I don't even know how many times that is, but roughly 5 to 8 times. And then you take this, and I have it to where I'll show you how I turn this to where I don't eat up a lot of my leader, because some of these knots, did I go through there right? Man, trying to show you guys. I'm trying to look and see if I got it focused. This is, man, I could never be a surgeon. You know how they look at like the cameras? Well, on Grey's Anatomy anyway. Okay, so I'm through it the right way. So I go through that. Now here's a trick. You can pull that. It'll kind of get, you just want to get it all kind of headed the right way. You don't need to wet anything yet. You get it all headed the right way, then you wet it. So you got it all, you know, nothing's kinked, nothing's whatever. And then wet the knot, and then you cinch it down. So then you can pull this tag in. Hang on. Anyway, that knot right there will basically get the job done. And I don't know, I should have shown you. I took and cut off. Like I only had a little bit of excess line. The shark knot, and then if you're not paying attention to how you're doing it, you end up, you know, you retie and you lose this much line and this much line. And then if you retie a couple times in a day, your 6-foot leader is now only about 3 foot. If you, or depending on if you got bad spots or whatever, you cut that off and you know, tying the thing. But anyway, so that's the knot I use. And then the double uni, I guess I could show you with these 2 lines. Maybe we'll do a little test, see if I can get one to break on here or not. The double uni is real simple. I'm going to show you guys that knot real quick. Then I got to end this video. Hang on, I need to drink a Fireball. Brew Tank's got me, because I told him, man, and that's serious. I'm not messing around with you guys. I take my knot seriously. Seriously, I take my knot seriously. Serious. Okay. It's real simple. Take 2 lines, cross them, pull one past, right? I'm going to get that. Form a loop like this. Pinch it right there, and then just wrap it. Once again, 6 times, okay? Close to 6. 6 to 8. And the trick here is, now what I do, if I'm doing, it's usually braid to leader is the way I do this knot, but you could literally join any 2 lines together. Same thing, you start to pull a little bit, and then right there with, when you're making the loop and all that with anything other than braid, I like to wet it. I don't wet the braid. If I'm using a braid, I'm going to wet that. We're actually going to tie this knot. So then cinch that down. Somewhat. You don't have to go all the way because you still have nothing to pull on that way. So then flip it around, flip it over to where you're kind of doing the same thing just over here. So if I'm dealing with braid, first of all, I'll tie the braid. Say this is the braid. I would have tied this on first, and I will only go 6 times, and usually braid's smaller than the line you're tying. So I go like 6 times with the braid, and then I just pull it slow, and I never wet it. I just pull it slow, and then I cinch it up, like not super hard, until like I'm ready to pull them together. So then I would turn it, do the one like we just did, and I would wet that one, and I would get it cinched up. And then just pull them together. Cinched up all the way cinched. And that knot is not going anywhere. So while we got them, I'm not even going to cut the tag ends. We're going to tie these together. Hang on, let me move this. Let me get all innocent bystanders out of the way. Let me get this off. I had this color in. I was getting ready to use it today, and I just didn't use that color. I was going to use it right after the Ito Junior, because that color I think may have worked today. I just didn't make it that far. They weren't. I was like, they're not hitting jerk bait, so we stopped messing with jerk baits. Let me move this one. All right. This is the part of the show when it's just so you'll know and I'll know. I probably should wrap these around something other than this because it's going to dig into the whatchamacallit, but nah, I don't know. We're going to see. Hang on, what do I have around here that I could maybe wrap around? I don't know. I'm going to see which one breaks first. I already got them tied together. Might as well, right? Might as well. Just see which one snaps first. I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm just gonna wrap it around till we get to there. Okay, and I'm gonna wrap this around, and we're gonna have I don't know if I can pull them apart far enough. I know I can, but I don't know about with you guys being able to see the results. So it should break. Let's flip it. I maybe can hold it like that. All right. This should break before the 20. Let's try it. That was easy. That broke. No loud pop, no loud snap, just broke. P-Line Original. Now that was a hard pull, but let's see what happened to our knots. So look at our P-Line knot. Also took a, no wait, you know what? That broke right at the knot. So it like cut into itself. Is what I think happened. But that was a hard pull. But I'm telling you that, hopefully you can see the thing too. That is not, that's just thicker. I have a funky, what you call it here, hang on. Now I know what you're thinking. Charlie, that P-line broke and it didn't make a loud pop, but I'm telling you, that was well beyond 20 pounds of force. So yes, it broke, the knot cinched up and cut or whatever, but that was a lot of force. Can't find it. Well, I don't know what I did with my little funky cheap deal. I was going to try to actually, but I would swear it could be the color throw me off. I'd swear this is a thicker. That 15 pound is just thicker. Like I already knew that it doesn't break as easy as the P-Line 20. And so the P-Line 15 doesn't even stand a chance, but I'm pretty sure, well, let's do another test. Hang on. We're testing stuff. Let's do this test, Eugene. Let's see how far, I should be able to do this test. Let's see. Let me just make a little loop knot. Now this may not work as well, but I'm just going to tie a little loopy knot in this. Just to get an idea. Hang on, boys and girls. You guys got me all fired up on this knot business. Probably not the best knot in the world, but I'm just going to put this around this. And so I'm going to zero this out, and then I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to try to hold this where you guys can see it too. I'm going to pull this behind me, just so we can see where it breaks. Now it may, if it breaks around that, maybe that digging into it, but just so we'll see. Because honestly, if you're truly wanting a rating that's justifiable to be like, okay, I caught it on 10-pound test, right? A 5-pounder on 10-pound. If it breaks at 15, you didn't really catch a 5-pound fish on a 10-pound line, which I kind of don't really even care about that kind of stuff anymore. Let me zero this. Oh, dude, stop it. Eugene, we need a new scale, Eugene. Okay, zeroed out. Let's see what we got here. Let's. God dang. Did you see that? 21, I think. That is not 15-pound test. That took a little force. Good line, though. Well, I mean, it. Wow. And I knew that was going to happen. It like snaps back, got me in between the fingers. Yowzers. This thing popped me. You guys see that pop? But that's how I test my line. Let's check the P-line original. Now, I just kind of sunk into that. But if you've ever yanked on your spool and had to break off something, you would know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, 21 pound. I knew it broke, whatever. So let's just check this stuff. So I'll know how well my 20-pound P-line is. So, in my opinion anyway, a good line should break somewhere within a pound over, at what it says, or within a pound over, maybe. If you're talking like, the good stuff. So let's just see how many of you guys are still even watching this? Hang on. Yeah, trilene knot or whatever. Berkeley, I don't know. I just always called it whatever. Yeah, the double uni is one. It will not fail you. It may make a clunk, 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 clunk. It'll do that until you. It will fail eventually. Like it's usually you. Like I should literally. I've not retied those in I don't know when. So if it fails, that'll be on me just not retying it. The knot is a idiot proof, foolproof, and it doesn't fail. So let's check our line again. So that stuff is crazy rated, right? It's rated wrong. So let's just see what the old P-line. I'm going to wrap this thing up tighter. So I've got just enough of it sticking out to where it's by itself. Let me make sure. Oh, God. Eugene, we need a new scale. Get on it, Eugene. We want one of those fancy ones that does all the adding, just like the pros got. All right, let's see. It's kind of hard to sit and hold it here where you guys can see it and pull it behind me. Oh, Jesus, criminy. Ah, that stung. What did that one hit? I think I saw it hit 20. I had to give it an extra hard pull. I think I cracked a rib. Oh my God. That sucker, I think it broke close to the same. I think they're close. But that's about where you want it to just right around there. So that P-line original is good. I'm not saying this is like if you're out trying to set a, record type stuff on certain line, this ain't what you want to use. But this, I think the 12-pound is probably close to the 15, and it'd be a smaller diameter. So I'm thinking about buying it, and then I could look where that thing's. That is a one weird way to test it, but I had to do it. I had to do it, guys. All right, shut that scale off. So I will not be buying any more of that 15, but I think I don't have a problem with using it because I know where to use it. It's just use it as a little over 20, right? Use it on some of my bigger rods. And shouldn't be a deal. Big deal. kind of deal. You know the deal. So, yeah. That was good to know. I've been wanting to do that little test with those two lines for I don't know how long now. Because I knew, I'm like, dude, that is no way that is 15-pound test. Which, guess what? There's no way that's 15-pound test. Takes way too much. Takes just as much, probably just a touch more. You know, since we hooked them together and the P line broke first. The original P line. That is just some crazy marketing, is what that is, right? Yeah, 4 times. Well, the thing is, like the uni, I think you're better off to go the 6 or more. Like what I do, I guess that's one trick I forgot to tell you on. So when you're doing the double uni to uni or whatever, and you're dealing with braid or whatever, if one is way, which is typically when you braid, it's going to be smaller than your regular, whatever your mono or fluoro or whatever, is to go at least 5 or 6 and then go like 8. So like if you go 4, go like double on the braid, and it just, in my opinion, it just, first of all, it looks a little better, cleaner, and it just gives it a, in my opinion, like a smoother transition kind of thing, is what I usually do. I always usually go a couple wraps more to even double over what I'm tying to kind of thing. Because if you're tying, like if I had, which I've done it before, if I had 15-pound braid and I was tying on 20-pound line, or I was tying on this crazy thick 15, on 15-pound braid, I probably want to go almost double, and I probably only want to go like 5 with this thicker stuff. Because sometimes you can, honestly, I feel anyway like I've probably done with all of this line, but we're not worried about it. When you're tying a knot, if you do too many wraps and you're trying to cinch it up, you can almost overstress a thicker line just by doing the, build more heat or whatever anyway, even though if you lubed it up, just by having so many wraps on it, to where I think you only need so many. But the shark knot is really a heck of a knot for, tying on a bait, or especially if you're going to tie on a snap and not retie as often. That shark knot's hard to beat. I probably should start using it, but I have enough confidence in the other knot. You're right, it is called the trilene knot. Not the Berkeley knot. Berkeley, trilene, whatever. Same difference. You guys get the deal. That's my favorite. And one of the other things is not even like right here. It's out on the water. Those 2 knots, like, I can tie those faster than I can snap my fingers. Because I can't. There we go. I couldn't get that thumb. You can't see it now. I've like put lotion on, so that thumb is jacked up. It was so messed up. I always felt like my hands were dirty. I put my anytime I grab the EVA foamed knobs and start reeling, I'm like, oh God, what do I have all over my hands? It's just where my thumb was chewed up from those bass today. But anyway, I definitely got to get out of here, guys. I got to go get something to eat. I got to track down either SD cards or a whole different computer or whatever. Invisible braid? Not really, because here's the thing. Braid has its limitations, so I learned that the hard way, and Rick Clunn learned that the hard way. No, not Rick Clunn, but the Trickster spinnerbait. You do not want to throw straight braid anywhere around wood, because braid literally actually sucks at abrasion resistance. It cuts through grass, right? So you want to use like 40, 60, whatever pound everybody tells you this and that braid. I had, was it the 20-pound braid, and I literally just touched some wood with that Trickster, because my leader jacked up, so I cut the leader off and I tied directly to it, cast out, and just touched the wood, and it went doink. Most of your braid wants to work like a saw, and the minute it wants to cut, and as soon as it does, it's literally chewing itself up as it's digging into the wood. And so there's just so many times when I can't think of, as long as you're confident and you know how to do the whole leader thing, there's not a place where a straight braid benefits me because I'm confident in what I'm wanting to fish. 20-pound test. I got a 30-pound test on my swim bait stuff, and that's what I do now. I guess I could possibly see places in Florida. I've seen people fishing. I've never fished in a place where I felt the need. I needed something stronger than a straight, what I have there, 40-pound braid to 30-pound leader. But if I could see myself in a gunky enough grass where I would want to go do away with the leader and I'd want to let the braid kind of cut through, and I might want to go with the 40-pound braid. But the biggest issue is when you start working baits, like not so much the frogs, but like if you're trying to walk a Pop Max, treble hooked baits or topwater baits, straight braid, it doesn't have any, backbone structure to itself. So when you start popping and you're giving it slack, the braid literally kind of bunches up, and you're more likely to tangle up into the braid with the bait you're using than you are with tying actually a stiffer. Sometimes you even want a stiffer. Like this is probably be better in some cases, a little stiffer leader when you got crazy erratic baits like a jerk bait, like certain things that are down there jumping around, they'll tangle up with themselves and with the line. That's where your little stiffer line will let it, first of all, it won't coil up as fast if you pull it straight, and then get out fishing. I don't know, that kind of thing. So you need a fluorocarbon that's as easy to pick a backlash as braid. No, what you need is a little tool, a little machine, like what the Mendit can mend this stuff together. Just imagine if we had something that, say, the braid we're using, it's a version of a whatever. So I would literally hold the strand of braid, to the leader, and it flawlessly melts those two together to where it's like they're one solid unit, right? Just imagine that. Like if you had that technology. So basically imagine this. Imagine like if you had a way, because one thing about like fly fishing is when you have that crazy tapered leader, right? And you start out and you're like at this, it kind of tapers down, then there's a section of it kind of as you tie that's like 2 pound or 1 pound or 4 pound or 6 pound. But then where you get up and you actually tie that to, hook it onto the fly line, is pretty thick and stout. It would be nice to have, I don't know, maybe like there's got to be a way to have the plastics, the stuff that's in the braid and the fluoro, or maybe it's a new line that comes out that's, it's a cross between all these, or copolymer. It's the ultimate copolymer that also fuses with braid, and all you do is you set it here under this heat thing, and right, or something, to where instead of like a knot at all, it's like 2 lines. They tell you to do like that much of it. You just set it beside itself, and it mends to the point where it won't separate. So if that breaks under its pressure, or that breaks under whatever gauge that it is, the knot, where it glued won't break. That would be something. Haven't seen it. Don't think it may ever be invented, but that would be nice. Yeah, some kind of fusion thing. I mean, it's got to be possible. I mean, I remember watching a guy hang on to his hard hat off a steel beam with super glue back in the day. Like, what happened? Right? Super glue. It's like you're slacking. Something's going on. Maybe that's something I need to work on. A glue. A glue that bonds all super lines. Nope, I don't know. I like my knots. They're fine. Don't overthink it. Just tie the double uni. Run a leader. Run a leader. Get used to that. Clunk, clunk, clunk. And then I catch myself now. I like the fact that when it's coming in, because I'll be, you guys all know that you've been to daydreaming and you're just looking away and you're reeling a bait in, especially the baits like you're holding your rod tip down. So you're reeling in and you hear the clunk, and you realize like, oh, I'm already back to the boat kind of thing. I've done that a few different times. I'm like, good thing that made the clunking noise, because otherwise the whole bait would have came in and liable to knock the tip right out of my rod. So yeah, gotta go, guys. Thanks for watching. Get out, go bass bonsai. Stay tuned for when all of this footage finally makes it to air. At some point, it will. You guys will see it. I'm not lying. I was actually catching them on these baits. Get out, go do something else. But whatever it is, have fun doing it. Good luck, Brew Tank, if you're going fishing, or anybody else going fishing. Oh yeah, Brew Tank package is due. Hey, it's coming in. And there's a little secret Santa surprise in that package for you. And that's nothing big. Don't get like all emotional about it. But check it out. Let me know what you think of it. See you later.